that same assignment that you did for midterm, plus the aortic dissection.
And we get it Wednesday, but it's due Monday.
I'll go ahead and give it to you today.
Oh,
I mean,
okay.
yeah, I can give it to you today.
Okay.
And then on the syllabus, it's no more temping?
Correct.
Okay.
But it's still good to go through those review questions and stuff. It's just getting into other stuff that you haven't scanned yet. I mean, you're not going to be doing it for a while.
Did you? You got my What time did you get it?
I was here, but I had to
Oh, thank you.
Did everybody sign in? So we're missing Lisa. Oh, really?
Oh.
Oh, thank you.
My daughter got all next week.
I got a new, like a feather comforter and a duvet to go over it, so last night I put it on the bed, oh my God, it's so heavy, so it like lays over you. Yes, and I didn't want to get out of bed this morning, I wasn't used to it. See, I went to the fan, so that other comforter, the fan, the air would get up under it, now this one, it like stays over me. Like I don't have to keep pulling it. I got mine on, I found it on clearance, and you know how expensive those things are. I paid $25 at Burt's. It was regularly $99.
I know, I need to go shopping.
You can go on Friday shopping with us. You can partake. I'm gonna be, like this year, I'm like, last year I was okay because you know, Callie was still little, so I wasn't as wore out, and now I'm like, I do not see how I'm gonna make it
We're
over.
gonna scoot through chapter 4 since y'all did a research on it. Should be familiar stuff.
I've already started making my list, looking at the ads, because ads leak. So, it's fun to make it like Callie. Like they're gonna have these baby dolls that go with the princess dolls.
Oh, yeah.
And then the toddler princess dolls, so they're babies that the dress is thinking of.
What's the high point?
They're $20, but they're gonna be $5.
Ergonomics and MSK issues in sonography. You probably already started experiencing a little bit of muscle fatigue. Anybody been scanning and their arms start shaking? Yeah, that's your body saying, whoa, what's up here? Okay. Yeah. So that's just something, kind of the first little indications that you're using muscles that you don't normally use and that need to be strengthened, okay? So, like, maybe when you're sitting watching TV, whatever, you might want to start, not squeezing, I'm not talking about that, but start using, maybe just push down and let, you know, engage those muscles. And just try to get them strengthened up. You know, go through some stretches, things like that. The book, you know, talks about things you can do. You know, go online too, and including pictures of the stretches and things that you need to be doing. Don't forget your eyes too. don't know if it's just because of the amount of concentration, or maybe just because it's a computer screen type scenario, but you can get eye strain really easily, so.
What is that like?
Hmm?
What is that like? Like,
The eye strain?
yeah, I'm having, like, just recently, this one,
Uh-huh.
like, behind it, it's like I've got a constant headache.
Yeah, you might, do you wear, contacts or?
I wear glasses for seeing far away, like, it's not like I have to wear them,
Yeah.
so, but.
You might wanna just go, you know, if it's time for you to have your eye exam and just let them know, 'cause I've never experienced it other than, I think when I've experienced eye strain, it just gives me a headache. So it could be you have a muscle weakness, you know, there's muscles that control your eyes. I don't know, but definitely, that's what I was gonna say though, when you start experiencing stuff, address it. 'Cause you definitely, your eyes, your shoulders, your wrists, elbows, those are your money makers. Okay? If you, what? Your face? Larry's face is I've never had that problem, Larry. But you wanna pay attention to it. Yeah, because like when I started in ultrasound, the word ergonomics, I think, was there, and we knew to keep patients close to us and stuff, but there's been a lot more studies and developments and, even the manufacturers, like swivel chairs that people are using.
Yeah.
Right, so even the manufacturers have started, tailoring the machines now. Back when I started, the keyboard set up, you know how many times you have to hit text or annotate? I mean, constantly. Well, it was in the far left-hand corner, so I was doing this all day long, picking my arm up, because it was a big console. Maybe a little bit wider, like that, but it was in this top left-hand corner. And also, when I started, there were, actual, we call them cassettes of film, and, every 9 pictures, we would have to flip that cassette, and it was up here. And after those 9 pictures, we'd have to take that cassette out, put it underneath in a little storage compartment, get a new cassette, put it in. So every 9 pictures, I'm doing this, plus the text and things. So I started having spasms in this shoulder, more so than my scanning arm. But I didn't know what they were. Okay? So there wasn't enough, or as much, not enough, but there wasn't as much awareness of what the little signs were. I didn't know what a spasm was. I'm thinking a spasm was like, you know, somebody spazzing out. I didn't know. But what it is you'll get a pain that's intermittent. You'll feel the pain and it'll go away. Feel the pain and it'll go away. You know, over and over and over again. Not like necessarily a throb, because throbs are with your pulse, you know, it's very, but it's those knots and stuff that your muscles tighten up and you spasm. But you need to get that addressed. You can have massages, or for me, those little TENS units that do the electrical shocks really work if you pay attention to it early. Okay? If you just go and address it, ice it, or do the little TENS unit and ice it. See, I didn't know ice helped. So I used to put a heating pad on it, but you're not supposed to put heat unless it's moist heat. So I wasn't educated. I didn't take care of it the right way. So I suffered with it for years and 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 years. At least that minute. So you don't want to do that because it's not fun. That's the only time I've really drank alcohol. I would drink, now I can't drink the wine.
That just hit me funny.
But seriously, that one little tiny, glass, like a little juice glass, a little tiny bit of wine, and it would ease those spasms enough so I could sleep when they were really bad.
Yeah, big one.
No, I can't do it. Now I can't do it at all because it gives me migraines. That's what was giving me migraines. But
Was it red wine?
I didn't like red. I had the sweet stuff.
Yeah,
I don't like wine at all. Yeah.
Did you drink?
But it would help. It helped relax me enough. 'Cause what I would do is, I would find myself, when it would tense up and spasm, I would tense up, and so that it would spasm more. So I have to kind of relax. But just pay attention to your body. Yes, I have a TENS unit now, and y'all, I'm telling you, don't overdo them. But it's the first sign of it. Now when my muscles start spasming up, I'll put the TENS unit on, ice it, and it's relief, and they'll calm down. It's when you don't address it, and you just let it ride. I've had my neck lock up, where you can't turn it. Those people call cricks in their necks or whatever. But they would be so severe that I couldn't even drive, because you got to be able to turn your, you can't do this and drive.
I had that.
Yeah.
Too.
And
They did, they hooked me up to that sports trainer school. He said, turn it all the way up. I was like,
Yeah. Oh, we gotta go little baby steps.
Yeah, and it's already,
He thought it was
like
funny.
for instance, my shoulder, I have congenitally fused discs, and they're on top of the nerve and muscle. So this entire shoulder stays numb 24/7. So, like, you can they put a TENS unit on it trying to, because the muscle will tighten up on its own. And, like, it doesn't do me any good because my whole entire arm just jumps. Because I have no nerve.
Oh my
Like,
goodness.
yeah, it's just, and so I'm like, no.
Sorry.
Yeah, my son won't buy it, and he turned one up, and I swore. I was out.
I've got a little, it looks like a little, MP3 player kind of.
Yeah, that's what I do.
And I can just wear it. I can just put it in my pocket or whatever. But it really helps. But just pay attention. Just don't let it get as bad as I did. I had the muscle tears right here in my palm. And that's because the probe I used wasn't much bigger than that. And you squeeze down on it all day long. This muscle right here really, it was just like a rising. It hurts so bad. But you'll get little teeny tiny muscle tears, and they don't have time to heal because you're scanning all day long, and you scan the next day all day long, so you don't have time to let it heal. So be careful when you're holding the probe. I know some of y'all, bless your hearts, you got a death grip on that.
Yeah, that's my problem.
No. I don't have to worry about it falling.
Well, that's what scared us. That's why we hold it.
I know, and it's good, I'm glad. But, be aware though that squeezing it that tight, it's gonna have repercussions on you, okay? So you want to try to keep all of your joints, in neutral positions. Like if you just hang your arm down, see where your wrist is? It's just straight, that's neutral, okay? Now you can't scan like this, you gotta bend your elbow, but you don't wanna do this, this is not neutral. This is neutral, by your body. So you wanna try to keep it as close to that as you can. Now I'm not gonna get a protractor and measure, but they say no more than 30 degrees. Because you can imagine, if this is a 90 degrees, and 45's right in the middle, 30's less than that. So, less than a 45-degree angle. Because the more you pull up, oh, and I learned this too. I was having pain down whatever muscle that is. I can't remember anymore. And I couldn't lift my arm up. Like I couldn't go all the way up like this. I was like stuck about right there. And Dr. Klein told me, he kind of looked at it, and he said there's some muscles that you use that bring your arm to like this point. But beyond that, it's like muscle, your collarbone has to rotate forward a little bit and do its job to get the rest of the way up. I had these muscles through here were so tight, the collarbone was not doing its little rotation. So I've been having to like stretch this way pull that shoulder back. And I never knew. He said that some of this back here tightening is because these muscles are so tight. So stretch them too. Okay, like pull, and you can feel it. If you do that, you can feel it back in your scapula. You can only do one shoulder at a time. You can't go both of them because your scapulas go boop. So you have to do one shoulder at a time. But stay stretched out. Like my muscles are so tight now. When I do this, my shoulders pop because they're so tight. Just don't get to that point. Take care of yourself. So this chapter, that's what it's all about, is to try to help you stay healthy. So you'll have longevity in your career. OSHA. Everybody's heard of OSHA? Okay. The Occupational Safety and Health Act. OSHA is like the watchdog to make sure that the environment where you work is safe. Okay, so they have regulations, and if you ever try to look up OSHA regulations, it's hard to pinpoint ultrasound. It's hard to find it, but it can be done. And actually, there's a week toward the end, week 9, where we're going to focus on them. We're just going to mention them today. But they've teamed up. Actually, there's like a coalition kind of thing with SDMS and AIUM, work with OSHA and saying, hey, this is what's safe, because they get the experts in the field involved. But what we're going to talk about today with OSHA is more like any kind of chemical that you could be exposed to. You have to have a material safety data sheet, MSDS sheet. Even our gel, we have to have a material safety data sheet. It tells you what to do if you get exposed to it, like if you get gel in your eyes, which it's water-based. Just rinse it out. It's no big deal. It's not going to hurt you. But like if you have to use Sidex, which is to clean the probes with, you need Dawn protective gowns, like little plastic barrier type gowns, to keep your, because it'll bleach out your clothes. You need to wear eye protection, wear gloves. So OSHA wants to make sure you're aware. So they're telling, like I said, the watchdog, that they come in and inspect those material safety data sheets for any kind of chemical or thing that you might have in your department. There better be a material safety data sheet there, or your employer gets in trouble. Okay. There's eye wash stations in our lab. If nobody's ever had to use them, thank you, Lord. I wonder if they expire. We probably need to check that. Yeah, we probably need to order more because they've never been used. That's a good thing. But by every sink, there should be an eye wash station, just in case somebody gets something in their eyes. Okay? So we'll hit OSHA more later.
If you're certified, how long does it last? I'm certified in OSHA.
Really? I didn't know you could get such.
It says administration.
So where did you work? Give us the background. What was the OSHA?
No, I took it at trade school for my high school because I did cosmetology. And I had to take it.
Okay. So with cosmetology, they're dealing with some very strong chemicals. There's probably certain chemicals you can't mix together, certain chemicals you don't want to get on your skin. So that's why you had to have certification to prove to OSHA that they were teaching you how to deal with those chemicals without hurting yourself or your client.
But this was in 13, so.
Yeah, I don't know if it doesn't say that it expires. It should have an expiration date on it. But OSHA will have its hand. That's why it's hard to look up and say, what's the OSHA regulations for ultrasound? You have to get way more specific for that. They have ergonomics. I found it. Searched and found about the ergonomics. They have stuff about that. They have stuff about the material safety data sheet. All of that. What?
Material safety data sheet.
It's
We're always looking for them. Somebody's always in there looking for them. We never find them.
Who's somebody? Like
Our
the
district
manager? Okay. So what I do, like if you look in the lab, unless this Crim's got rid of it, I made an OSHA book. and just printed off things like the gel. It had some material safety data sheets in it for the gel and the wipes that we use. That's basically all we have in contact with. Sidex, I think, is in there, but it tells you what to do if you're exposed to it. Okay. Okay. Work-related musculoskeletal disorder. Look at page 70. They've come up with a name for work-related musculoskeletal disorders because it's a very expensive thing. They want you to be informed too because it costs a whole lot of money to take care of it. Physical therapy is very expensive. So if you start the stretches and everything before you start your career, like even now when you're in school, you're a lot less likely to get these injuries. If you start holding the probe the right way, getting a good habit of holding it right, and when you're just back to the probe, when you're using proper mechanics, you want to be able to manipulate the probe with your fingers, okay? So I keep my thumb on the index side of the probe somewhere, because that way I know where I'm at, my orientation, without having to look at the probe, okay? I know if I have my thumb toward me, I'm in a transverse. If I point my thumb toward their head, the probe, that side of the probe is toward their head, I know it's in long. Okay, so I don't have to guesstimate. If you hold it like this, how do you know where the index is? You know what I'm saying? So, and build the manipulation with your fingers instead of having to try to think how you would hold. Like, you don't want to hold the probe like that. You have to manipulate it like this. Is that what you do?
No.
Okay, she's laughing. I'm thinking, uh-oh.
No, it looks very awkward.
Yes.
Like, who would hold
See,
it
to
like
turn
that?
it, I see it though.
Really?
I see, yeah, people having to turn their whole wrist to get the probe to turn. And that's where you're going to hurt yourself. Okay? It's kind of like a pencil too. Like when you're writing, do you hold it way up here to try to write? You have more control the closer you are to the pen, to the ink. It's the same thing here. Don't hold up here, hold it close. And then you can anchor yourself on the patient too with your other fingers. Okay? And that's good if you're doing something like thyroid, because you don't want the whole weight of your arm to on that thing. Okay? Because it chokes them. You've been choked.
I got her the other day and I didn't even feel like I was pressing down.
Yeah, so you just want to be careful when you start to do neonates. You can't put the pressure of your whole arm on a baby head, okay? You anchor your hand on the bed, okay? So, pay attention to the way you're holding the probe. You don't want to grip it like, you know, yeah. Don't squeeze it because you will hurt your hand and it's going to be so painful to scan. Just keep telling yourself, I've got to relax. Okay? Yeah.
Doing all those outlines at night. My head's like,
Yeah.
can't write anymore.
Yeah, I know.
And I keep trying to, like, don't hold it so tight. It's just, you know, like, and I hold my two fingers.
You know what
too
you
loud
might
and
need to
then
do? You know what you might need to do? I found the neatest thing. Like, Books A Million or somewhere like that, they have them. It's a little rubbery, squishy thing that you put on the pen, and it has like grooves for your fingers. Yeah, so you don't have to hold it so tightly like this. It gives you a little more room. You know what I'm saying? So the pen, it would be like the pen is that wide versus, yeah, so you're not, yeah. So that helps a little bit too. I had my little red grading pen that I used all the time. I had it on there and I don't know if I've lost it. Let me get me another one too. But anytime you're scanning somebody, you want to, you know, do the best you can to get them as close to you and you as close to them as you can get. You don't want to scan them from a long distance, okay? You have to get cozy with people. They show an example on the top of 71 of somebody doing an echocardiogram. So the first way, reaching, because the patient has to be rolled up, okay? And you're going to be scanning up under, like through here, in this lower rib cage, under this like coronal view. All on the left side, so reaching over with your right hand is really not ergonomic enough. So people that do echo learn to scan with their left hand, okay? Or you go to the other side of the bed, like it shows in that picture, where she went to the other side and accessed the left. If you can't do that, a lot of people just scan with their left hand. Well, that would still be on the other side of the bed. It'd be the difference of scanning, if you were my patient, I should be on this side of you. This is how she's doing it. She's scanning like this, or you could turn like this. But you're still on their left side. Okay? Transvaginal. The best way to do it, I've found, if you can maneuver the stretcher. So my machine's here. If you put your stretcher this way, okay, and we usually have it lined up parallel right here. If you put it at an angle this way, okay, and raise the bed up, then you're scanning like this, okay? If the bed is straight, you're scanning like that. See the problem with my arm up? So I have it angled and have the bed raised up, I can scan like this in front of my machine. So you try to position everything so you can stay in that neutral position, okay? 4-2, every once in a while you might have to scan like that, just don't prolong it. It shouldn't be an all the time thing, okay? You might have a patient that's larger that you can't reach around really well. So maybe they can't roll up because they're on a ventilator or they're in a coma. So you might have to get help. Some machines now even have voice commands. I've had to get help before, like have a nurse come in. I would want to do the left side. I would have to go around and scan from the left and say, okay, freeze, and then have them hit print or whatever. They have some, used to be foot pedals where you could freeze and print with your foot. Like I said, some machines now are voice command. You can like register your voice on it and it'll recognize it and do things with it. So all of that is how like the manufacturer has stepped in to help with ergonomics. Being able to adjust the keyboard area up or down, turning the monitor. The very first machine I ever worked on, the monitor was fixated, and it was little. It was only about that big. Okay? Y'all think that ATLs are dinosaurs? This is an Accuson XP128. And I'm short, too. Another thing is that it was tall, plus we had that camera on top of it. Remember I told you I had to do the film stuff? It's dangerous.
We're gonna have to learn how to do the film. We're gonna have to learn how to do the film.
No, because nobody uses that anymore. So like when I started, I had to go in the dark room and process the film.
Yeah,
and
I
all
mean
that.
like for printing, like OV scans and stuff like that, how they print the pictures.
I mean, you might have a thermal, those are thermal printers that most people use. And if it's already hooked up, when you hit print, it just comes out. So, the reason most places don't use thermal print anymore is because it's, if it gets heated up, like somebody leaves it in their car, it ruins it, on the hot summer days.
And take a picture of the picture.
So, it's just kind of really old technology. Some places might still have it, but, like when you start doing OBs, we actually email the pictures that they purchased. We just email it to them. Save it as a JPEG. Okay. I'm going to forget about this thing. Let's see.
What are our new machines?
GE, P5s, I think they're called P5s. They're very slim, trim, and they're gonna give us more room at each station. We're gonna have a whole lot more room. And y'all, let's work hard together to take good care of them. They're gonna be paying a pretty penny each month to have y'all 9 new machines. So we need to really take care of them and you know, the people coming in behind you, teach them how to take care of them, and so we can prolong the life of them and everything. It's just gonna be awesome to have access to 9 machines. Okay. And that's another big help too. I know I'm trying to catch up to where we're at and doing one more thing, but the machines are a lot smaller these days. Like I was saying, the first machine I ever used to go portable, that sucker was heavy. Don't push it and I can't see. I needed a little beep, beep, beep. Y'all watch out this way. Because you couldn't pull it the way the wheels were designed. It steered better if you were pushing from the front. It was less dangerous if I pulled it. But it was easier to push it. It was just huge, and getting it positioned in the room. You'll see like the ones that we're getting in a few weeks. Hopefully, but when y'all come back from the break, we should have them installed and everything. We're hopeful for that. But they're really slim, and the screen, you can fold it down. So you're just kind of pushing it like this, and nothing's in your way. It's like really, really trim. Emily's pulled it up. She's going to show it right today.
Oh, okay.
Go ahead and show it.
Thank you. Sorry.
I know, I thought that too. I thought it Wildy. I love that movie. Wildy.
Even though I doesn't, there are a lot of smaller. Let me make sure that's it while I'm showing her.
I think so.
I'm like showing her.
It says P5. I really don't know. I didn't get to see it. I was doing a clinical site visit the day they came. Actually, I don't think they. Yeah, I think they did come bring that one.
They
brought it.
brought something, and I don't know who they showed it to.
Yeah, they could have done a demonstration, but they never
The
did.
president or somebody, there's somebody over there.
Well, they brought it,
Like
and
the
then you
president.
couldn't look
Yeah.
at it, there's nothing to it.
It was all covered up.
No demonstration.
Did something that's nice little package ready to go back when I went up there.
Oh.
Some of the older machines, did they have a reverse button on it?
The screen, the image.
Yeah, Larry
I
did that to me.
Invert.
An old one that.
Oh, you're gonna throw that to me.
All machines are invert.
He did it right before the midterm, and I called Miss Abels over there. I said, Miss Abels, something's wrong with this screen. She said, I can't come help you. I said, something's wrong with this screen before we start this midterm. And she came over there, she said, what's wrong with this thing? She had to call Miss Grimm over there. He had it inverted, the whole screen and everything else.
No, I didn't know.
Yeah, but what usually happens is kind of, I know that's sidebar, but it's something really important y'all need to know. Most machines, so like this is your image, there'll be some kind of little symbol, like G might have a little G, or Phillips might have a P, I don't know, we'll just say it's a GE machine. So if the G's on that side, then it's been inverted. So the symbol should be on the index side, okay? So like if it's inverted and you put the probe down to say, look at the left lobe and long, you'll see the left lobe like this, and you'll see the heart beating over here. You'll be like, what? Okay, so inverted. Look for that little symbol and find the invert flip button. Yeah, that will really mess you up. You'll be like, I have no idea what's happening. Okay, so, let me get back, I'll get us kind of to where we are. The awareness of pain and discomfort, we talked about that. You want to be aware of it. Like when it first started people first started thinking about ergonomics and stuff like that, most people were already injured, before you. So it's really important when y'all just starting your career that you pay attention. I know people who, if it doesn't end their career, they have to maybe like wear, maybe they've got carpal tunnel so bad they have to wear a brace, and they still, but everything they do, every time they stand, they're in pain. You just don't want to end up like that, okay? So, that's where OSHA came in. They started, this was back in the 70s, that's when they started getting, you know, the federal government's going to get kind of involved with it. But this is a good thing. You don't want to have an OSHA violation. They will shut you down. Okay. We don't talk about the general duty anymore. Okay, so this is, well, it's in that each employee shall comply with occupational safety and health standards. So you're supposed to be aware of the OSHA policy. Like if you're working for a hospital that is federally funded or receives anything like that, they can, or I guess I should say, any hospital that is, has to be certified by the Joint Commission, okay, they can do these inspections, and that's when they can shut you down if you're in violation of OSHA standards or any Joint Commission standard. Like hand washing even. You know, they'll make sure you know how to wash your hands. Remember we talked about singing happy birthday through and scrubbing every surface. So if you don't know where the material safety data sheets are, that would be a violation. Okay. OSHA even has regulations on how long you can work without a break. If you have a shift that's a certain amount of time, you have to have a lunch break. That kind of thing. So you want to be aware of all those rules. Okay. Okay. So the work-related musculoskeletal disorder, that's the one that people use these days. It's been called a lot, but this is the, what they call the disorders that could incapacitate you for work. Okay? And if you can't work, then that's going to cost not just your employer money, it's probably going to cost you money for missed pay after so long. You know, so. Okay. Really, this is it. OB scans and echoes are specialties that can cause these injuries. It doesn't matter. If you're not scanning appropriate, like I said, you're scanning in these awkward positions, you could be doing the easy, like you can do a thyroid. If you're not scanning and using proper mechanics, you're gonna hurt yourself. If you're doing this all the time, like if the patient's bed is up high and you're having to push down like that, just holding your arm is one thing, but then having to push too, while you're holding it out, you're gonna hurt yourself. I'm not worried about you knowing all of that stuff. Okay, risk factors. These are ones we talked about. Pinch grip, that's what you call that. The death grip, okay? Forceful exertions, awkward posture, prolonged static postures. Like, think about if you stand in one spot for a long time and how you get fatigued just being in one spot. Think about now if you're standing like this all the time. You're up over here and you're leaning. You shouldn't have your spine at that awkward angle for a long time, for a long period of time. Like I said, every once in a while you might have to do that to get an image and then you're done. That's not what I'm talking about. It's like constantly scanning. Static means you're stuck in that position for long periods of time. Repetitive motions, remember me hitting that text? All that over and over and over again. Those awkward motions. And those cassettes weren't, I mean, they probably didn't weigh a pound, but still, they weren't really light. Having to do it over your head, I needed to be taller. extreme heat, cold, humidity, or vibration, but, you don't have to worry about that too much. Okay. Now, another thing too, having the right kind of chair if you're gonna sit. They make scanning chairs, but they're very, very expensive. I don't know if you'll get the opportunity to have one or not, but, if you could alternate, stand some, sit some, but standing all the time, especially if you don't have good shoes, good arch supports, that'll cause, did y'all realize, like, if you have, strain on your knees, you can end up having backaches. Okay? If you don't wear, like, good supportive shoes, you're like, why does my back hurt so bad? If you just change your shoes, that could fix it. Okay? I found, for me, you just have to find what works for you. I don't have like stock and marrow, okay? But I used to have really bad SI joint problems. It's from my last 2 pregnancies. But when I changed to the Merrill tennis shoes, those really ugly tennis shoes I wear, they're not pretty, but, and I got their orthotics to insert into the shoes, almost instantly my back got better. So pay attention, say, well, am I wearing proper shoes? Now, these are really cute, but if they don't have good support, who cares what they look like? You gotta invest. I'm not saying spend hundreds of dollars, but invest in a good pair of supportive shoes with the orthotics. Some people have bad circulation. If they're up on their feet a lot, they need to have the compression hose on, because you end up swelling really bad by the end of the day. So you might have to invest in a nice, and they make them now where they zip up, I think. You can zip them, because you strain your back putting them suckers on. It takes a football team just to get them on you. I mean, they're like that big around, like, I'm getting them over that? That ain't happening. But anyway, so.
Shelby likes the one, the pictures of the memory foam. They look like their nurses would.
That's what I have, but they're the ugliest things in the world, but they are so nice.
Yeah. And 2, the comfort is very important, but that support and aligning your feet right, that's what's really huge. Dr. Scholl's, I think it is, has a little thing you can stand on, like at Walmart or whatever. You stand on it and it does like a thermal impression of your feet, and it'll tell you what you need as far as what arch, like which one of their orthotic inserts are best for your foot.
Yeah, but it tells you to stand on them barefoot and all those feet and all that.
Well,
I would just stand on
I mean, take you some.
Go in there with some Lysol.
There you go.
The problem with those is that they're
That'd
usually
be me.
really soft inserts. And if you go to an actual podiatrist, which I have, I had heel spurs and plantar fasciitis, all that stuff. Being a waitress, you need to have heel spurs are not good at all. But anyway, the orthotics they give you there are hard.
Yeah.
Which you would think the total opposite. You think you want the squishy ones. The hard ones are the ones that help you the
It
most.
keeps your foot in alignment, which keeps your knees in alignment,
Right.
which keeps your back in alignment.
That squishy stuff is really not doing you any good.
Like, with me, I have a really high arch, so I have to wear something with a heel on it. Like, if I'm really wearing it all day and standing up, I have to wear heels, like, not at a certain, not that.
Yeah.
Or I get pains with my legs.
Everybody's different.
Yeah.
So I can't be flat-footed for too long.
Just don't go for, oh, those are so cute. That's not always the best option, okay? Because I promise you, patients aren't gonna look at your shoes. They can care less. And you're in a dark room. That's true. Okay? Nerve entrapment, that would be like, the carpal tunnel. When y'all's research, you probably read that median nerve, the little shaft it goes through, the canal it goes through, the tunnel it goes through, gets inflamed and pinches on that nerve. Okay? So, even when you're typing, don't type like with your little things like that, your wrist bend. Try to stay neutral. Okay? Leaning, bending, side to side or front to back. Try to avoid that. Okay. Okay, one of the things that can injure you is that that pinch. When you're keeping your muscles contracted for so long, another thing that it does, it reduces the blood supply to those muscles. So they're getting less oxygen. Therefore, if they do have little tears, they can't repair themselves without the oxygen. So that's another reason to relax. Get some blood back down in that muscle, okay? So if you have tendonitis or tenosynovitis, inflammation of the tendon or the sheath that surrounds it, de Quervain disease, and when you get that tendonitis and stuff right in here, that's what I had. That death grip on the thing. And it's not necessarily just a death grip too. The smaller the probe is, the tighter you're going to have to grip, pulling those muscles in. Okay? So again, holding it right here would be doing the same thing. So I like to hold it down here in the wider part. And really you have more dexterity with it down here than you do right here. You can use your fingers more the wider your the grip is. Thoracic outlet syndrome. This is nerve entrapment that happens up here. I'm trying to remember the symptoms of it. The tingle down your arm.
Yeah, you told us about it.
Yeah.
Not moving your arm, it stops you from moving at a certain point.
Yeah. Yeah, the blood supply gets cut off. But they can do arm studies. You hold your arm out, and you can do. Y'all will learn how to do the study for it, I think. Vascular. Trigger finger. That's when, like, you try to move your fingers, and it'll get to a certain point that it just pops. These tendons that run, I think they're up here, but you'll feel them pop over the knuckle. They get so tight. Instead of being able to just bend and open, you'll get to a certain point and you'll feel that tendon pop over. Okay. Bursitis. Oh, you feel like it's a rising. You get these little cysts, bursa cysts, and in the joint, and it hurts so bad. I have bursitis.
I had them on both my knees when I was catching.
It's bad. And keeping your knees bent all the time.
Pulled down,
Up and down.
Up and down, yeah. It feels like a rising. It hurts really bad. Like I've got one out there.
After you practice all day, when you sit down for a little bit, it starts swelling up.
Ugh. Did you use those little paddy things? So when you sit down, you're sitting on those little pads?
We didn't get to use those. Those was cheaters. You were lazy.
Yeah, that takes too long to get back up. Okay. Spinal degeneration. Some people have, not congenital, but degenerative disc disease. That's not just caused by repetitive motion sickness. That's just I don't know if it's more of a, like a type of arthritis that attacks your joints, but the disc degenerates. But you can have spinal degeneration from all that twisting and bending and improper stance. So try to keep a good posture. That's kind of hard. I mean, sometimes you get in a habit of slumping. I do. I feel like I'm, I don't want to it's like yeah. I feel like I'm like sticking my breasts out if I'm sitting there. It's an awkward feeling. Okay, so the industry, like I said, has been really trying to make things better. And I've actually scanned with at a conference, they tried to make the wires, the cord really, really light, because really it hangs down. So you can try to prop it up. Don't just leave it dangling, prop it up on the little hooks that hold the probe. That takes some of the pressure off of the probe, which pulls on you. You're having to actually hold that wire too. But some manufacturers have made the wires really, really light, but there's not as much protection in there for the wires itself. And if you get it twisted or kinked, your whole screen will go black. It'll actually cut off the signal from getting back to the machine. So if it is one of those really lightweight wires, you've got to be extra, extra careful with it. Just keep that in mind.
I just need to take a break.
There are,
Longer?
yeah. There are some wireless probes being manufactured. I don't know if they'll get popular or not. But you have to think, there's going to have to be batteries in there that create the electrical voltage.
Yeah, so they heavy.
So I think that's the drawback now, is how heavy they are. And then there's more chance of you dropping it. Because I have caught a probe with a wire.
That's true.
I have caught just the wire before it hit. So, and that's why I wear gloves. Now, in the clinical setting, wear gloves. Here, you wear gloves. Okay, at least on your scanning hand. On both hands if you're dealing with a patient. Like when I start scanning, just to do the controls, I take the glove off, because you can't do TGCs with the glove on. But I wear the glove mainly here because I'm not afraid y'all have cooties. I feel like I'm gripping it better with all that gel on there. It holds to me. It feels like I have more control over it. So, but just, if you do have any wire, don't get it all tangled up. But especially those really light ones, that's one of the drawbacks for them. But like you saw that machine that we're getting, it is like slim and trim and things fold down, it's adjustable. There should be no reason the machine should cause you to sit in an awkward position. You can adjust it. Okay. Now, good luck with this one. This is talking about as far as your administrative solutions go to keeping you healthy. Like extending the amount of time in between patients, and not scheduling patients back to back, give you a little bit of break. Yeah, that ain't gonna happen. Okay? If you end up getting a job where you have just feel really blessed and be thankful.
Why is the air 100 miles per hour?
Yeah, and when we need it, 100 miles an hour will come on.
Sorry, I'll just talk louder. So, that will be probably the biggest issue, okay? And having patients back to back to back to back to back, you might not get to stop and take an actual lunch break, even though it's a law. You might not get to go potty often. But the best thing to do is I always kept like a pack of peanut butter crackers, something, or bring fruit, like bring a banana. Because bananas, you don't even have to stop to wash it. You know, you just peel that stuff there, pop it in there. You don't have to chew much. You don't have to swallow it. But you gotta prepare. Keep water, because you don't necessarily have to have it cold. You need something in your rural work area that you can grab a quick snack or something to keep your energy up. Okay? Because you don't want to end up being a patient. And stop to go potty. I know sometimes you feel like you don't have time, and there have been plenty of days where I've worked a whole 10-hour shift and not gone. Because when you work in a hospital type situation area, you're going to have your inpatient schedule, you'll have an outpatient schedule, and then you have all the ERs and ICUs, all the add-ons, the emergent stuff. That they're like, stop what you're doing, you've got to go to the NI right now. I've had them call and say, we need your machine in the OR now. And that backs you up, because they're using your machine. So you've got two, and you just take them one. And, somebody has to be there just to run the knob. The surgeon will be scanning. But somebody's gotta hit freeze or adjust the screen for him or whatever, you know. So, schedules are, you know, it's a nice, you know, concept, but it's not necessarily what happens. Okay, so you can get not just physical strains, you can get mentally fatigued, because of the stress. It's a lot more physical. Like this job is more mental for me. When you're in the field, there's a lot of mental stress going on, and it's physical. See how physical it was? They say that what you do at work doesn't count as exercise. The first quarter I was full-time here teaching, I gained 20 pounds just like that, and I did not change the way I was eating. Because I was running non-stop in the hospital. You're up, you're moving, you're going to get patients, you're taking the machine portable, you're doing this, doing that. I mean, constant. So yes, it does count as exercise. Because I put on 20 and I kept them, you know. 80 pounds later, here I am. Thank you. I didn't get you to make the point about this. Okay, so you will be running and doing, but just like I said, keep a stash. Quick, especially if you know you're hypoglycemic or something, you better really keep a stash. Orange juice or something. Okay. Personal protective equipment. This is what I was trying to steer y'all away from, because we ain't got here yet. Without saying, don't pick that one, I was trying to steer you away from it. Personal protective equipment is anything you use to protect yourself from cooties. Okay? And it depends on what the situation is, so what's called for. And you're not going to have to put on a mask and goggles and don a gown and a hat thingy and shoe protectors just to scan every day. Okay? There's a time and a place for it, but you need to know what situation warrants what PPE, personal protective equipment. Okay? Like, if you're scanning just a general day, you're just scanning regular patients, you want to wear gloves. Okay? And if the patient is coughing really bad, you might want to put on a respirator mask if they won't keep theirs on. Okay? Because you can get that droplet exposure. You might want to put on goggles if they're coughing really bad, because they'll cough and they'll get in your eyes. Okay? There's going to be blood spatter everywhere. You know, you might want to don the gown. You know, it just depends on what situation you're in. If it's MRSA, if you're going in with the patients in isolation, you don everything. Not just to protect you, but so you don't carry it to the hospital when you're going back to your department. Okay? And there's some times where you're protecting the patient. Patients that are going through treatment that lessens their immunities, you need to don to keep them safe. Okay? You might have a patient that comes to you wearing the respirator. It's probably not because they have cooties, it's because they're going to be susceptible to the germs that are floating in the air because their immunity is so suppressed because of the treatment that they're having. So don't be scared of those patients. Okay? It's to protect them most of the time. But just know what you need in what situation. If you ever go to an isolation room, it'll have instructions for what you need to do. Okay? They'll have all the equipment you need, the PPE you need, on a stand outside of that room before you go in. If there's a gown there, guess what? You need to put the gown on. That's how you know. Whatever they have supplied there, usually they'll have a list, put this on. But if there's a mask and gown and foot covers and gloves, you put it all on. It's not selective. Okay, it's to protect you. Alrighty. We're almost done with this. Okay. This ultrasound system section is telling you about how, and this is all stuff the manufacturer's done. Like, they're not going to put the text thing in the back 40 anymore. It's going to be easy accessible. If you notice, most machines, right around the trackball, is your freeze, your update buttons, you know, even the ATLs. It's hard to find color. You have to look, well, where's color, where's, you know, pulse wave, all these controls are up here. Where versus the Philips, the newer machine, it's right there. All the buttons are kind of, you're thinking, why are they all kind of they're not symmetrically lined up, they're kind of just random. If you look, it's like a semicircle around. The most frequent buttons are going to be right by the trackball. Then your next most frequently used buttons will be just beyond that. That's the way they're trying to do the machines these days, so that you've got easy access. The buttons you use the least often will be the furthest away from that central little area. Make sense? Okay, so that's the way the manufacturers have started using it. Designing it so that you can use it safely. Adjust your exam table, okay? We've talked about that in the layout. You don't want to sit where you have to scan up like that, right? Pull either you up or the patient down. Get them as close to you as you can. You get as close to them as you can. Okay? You don't want to scan behind yourself. You don't want to scan in front of yourself. So whatever area you're scanning needs to be parallel with you. If it's their neck, if you're scanning up here, pull the bed down. Don't do carotids like that.
I have a question. I was watching some YouTube videos on carotid and stuff, and they like put the patient in front of them and
Sit in the head of the bed. It depends on where you work. Some people, now we used to have a vascular instructor, the one who taught Miss Abels and Miss Krim. She taught them both ways. She would make them do an assignment with it to their right, and she'd make them go to the head of the bed and do it. I don't know if Miss Abels is teaching y'all to do that or not.
I was just wondering, because every video I've watched on YouTube there.
If you look in this book,
Even in our books, it's like that.
if you look in this book, on page 76, in B, she's doing the left leg, and they turned the patient to the other side. Like the head of the bed is now at the foot, where the foot was, to get to the left leg. Some people think that's a little overkill, especially if you have patients back to back. You don't necessarily have time to do that. You could have the patient roll their leg, you know, definitely have them roll their leg out versus straight. That's going to make it a lot easier if they roll it out a little bit. Now, I've never seen him roll it quite as far as he's got it, just when I've been watching y'all and stuff. I don't do vascular, but he's kind of got it completely bent. I don't know that y'all ever do it like that.
We haven't done it before.
No. Well, okay. And see, you got to get the pop too, so you're going to get behind the knee. I don't know about that. Ask Ms. Abels, but there's nothing wrong. Some people, I see a lot of students, they don't say anything to the patient. Like when I used to be a clinical instructor, they wouldn't ask them to roll. They wouldn't ask them. It's like they didn't want to bother or something. No, listen, the patient wants to get whatever you're doing done so they can leave. Okay? Instead of you struggling to get an image because they're too far away or you need them to roll up, they'd much rather just go ahead and roll up and get it over with. Okay? And you got to be aware and forward thinking enough to say, okay, if I keep scanning and straining like this, I might not get to scan very long. I might have to change careers because I'm not going to be able to handle it. I'm going to be in so much pain. Get that patient to move, to roll, do whatever they need to do if they're able. Sometimes you might run into a patient that's not able, but you could help them roll, like put the bed rails up and say, okay, I want you to put your hand on this bed rail. As you're rolling up, I'm going to help you up. So, you know, if they have the handrail to pull on, they might be able to help you out and roll up. Just please think ahead and be careful. Hopefully your exam room's large enough that you can adjust things. Sometimes it's not. Talked about all that. Now, this first one, having a separate monitor, that would be like in the OB office. A lot of times they'll have a monitor just so the patient can see. So you don't have to turn because when you turn your screen, there's a point where you turn it where you're having to do this to see the scan. You don't want to do that. Okay, this is just like a rundown of everything we've talked about. Minimize any of those awkward positions. Alternate sitting and standing. Some people are like, I can only stand standing, I can only stand sitting. I do a little bit of both. I prefer to sit, but sitting too much can lessen that blood flow in your legs. So, adjust the equipment. Have everything ready before you start within reach. Okay? You're going to want to set up, you're going to need gloves, you're going to need gel, you're going to need your wipes, you're going to need a garbage can close by. Okay? You need the garbage can to throw the gloves and the wipes in. Also, you need a garbage can close by in case that patient starts to get sick. Linen, you want it in within reach. Have all of that set up first. Get your room prepared before they come in. And it might be that you have to set it up every day, because if maybe people come in at night, they like it a different way. So you might have to reset this all up in the beginning of the day and just have everything ready. Have your linen bag, you know, so when you gather the dirty linens, you can just put it right in. I tried to have it at the foot of the bed, you know, not right at the foot of the bed, but at maybe the wall that's toward the foot of the bed. Because I would just fold it up, roll it down the bed, step on that thing, and drop it in. Okay, be careful too when you're doing the linens. That's why I rolled it, because you don't want to gather it up like this, because all the junk might be on it. So just kind of roll it, and okay. And again, do we want to wait till the linen basket is so full you can't even lift it? No. Those plastic bags, they don't cost that much. Okay. You want to be able to carry it to the chute, lift it up and put it in. So don't overfill those bags. You're asking for a backache if you do that. We talked about wheelchairs, beds, stretchers, and helping move the patient. Be really careful with how you move them. The 20-20-20 rule, what's that?
Look over there.
Every 20 minutes, they recommend that you look 20 feet away for at least 20 seconds. Just to allow your eyes to relax. And that's usually, y'all, in between patients, you're walking down the hall to go get the next patient, so to make that count. Okay. We talked about that already. We talked about MSDS already. They go through the cost of it. I mean, it's very expensive because, you know, you get injured. Because like if you're working full-time somewhere and you have to take sick leave, they're paying you for sick leave. That's a benefit. But they have to pay somebody to come fill your shift. That's an additional cost to them. And you're thinking, well, I work for them, I need to take care of them. Yeah, that's true. But the more overhead a hospital has, it's all a numbers game. They're like, well, this is the expenses it costs, you know, this is what it costs us to have these employees, and this is the volume of patients and reimbursement that we get. If those don't offset each other at least, people lose position. Okay? So think about it this way. If they don't get reimbursed for every procedure I do, I'm costing them all this extra money because of all these disorders I have, these musculoskeletal disorders and all this physical therapy time off. Instead of 2 people now, they cut one of the positions. Yay, I got to keep my position, but guess what? The volume of patients is still there. You're going to injure yourself even more because you're doing double the work. So I'm saying, so it is our job to make sure costs stay down. Don't, you know, supplies, everything, don't overuse them, you know, use what you got to use, and be prudent with your decisions that you make, the supplies. You try to keep costs down, because if the volume of patient and the money coming in is more than what the expenditures are, maybe they'll hire somebody else and lessen your load. Let's work on you, less MSDs, musculoskeletal disorders. See what I'm saying? Just be aware of that. Quality of the patient's exam may also suffer because you're in so much pain you can't push like you need to get a good image. Okay. They say the high adjustable chairs, $750. They cost probably more than that now. Support cushion, some people, will have like an arm cushion. Oh, I forgot to turn it off, I'm so sorry. So sorry, I forgot to turn it off. Okay, so, the exam table, this is pretty accurate, $7,400 to get. There are actual ultrasound tables, exam tables you can buy. Like for the echo, the part of the bed that is around this area will actually come away. So there's a hole there so they can get the probe. They have to like do an angle like that so they can get the probe up under them. Okay? So, and that's about accurate for an exam table. That costs a lot. To get the kind that move up and down, especially the electric ones. Oh, right before I left Cooper Green, they got state-of-the-art ultrasound table. It had a rubber nose.
Had a what?
I wasn't pushing like this anymore. To get the picture, I just mashed a little button. I could tilt them this way, I could tilt them that way. It was so nice. And then I left. Okay. They're showing all those pictures of the bed. Okay, stretches. The last part of this chapter, it goes through some simple exercises that you can do to stretch out those muscles. See how she's doing her hand back like this? That just feels good. I haven't been seeing it. Feels really good. And I would add this one in to stretch these pectoralis muscles out. And then be gentle when you're doing this. If you just tilt your head over, sometimes if you put my arm behind my back, it feels like it stretches more. I don't necessarily think you have to pull on your neck. I can feel that. Y'all try it. Can't y'all feel that? Stretching down your neck. Oh, if you put your arms behind you, feel it more. Put your arm back behind your, fold it in the small of your back and do it. Oh, another thing too, a massage person taught me this. If you're somebody that kind of slumps your shoulders, if you want to get your back in alignment, if you put your arms over your head and spread your legs apart, and just stretch them, and then just let your arms fall, then your spine's in alignment. That's what I said. This feels awkward to me. I don't know if it looks awkward, but it feels really awkward. Because I would find, but I feel like I'm about to go, because I'm used to slumping. It's just become natural for me. And I know I don't need to. And that's probably, if you think about it, if you slump your shoulders, all the strain is back there. These muscles aren't helping. So if you get those shoulders back where they need to be, it's kind of evened out. We all have to be careful. We got a little time. Y'all need a quick punch break? Cable braces are kind of neat. I've never really liked them.
I need one.
Yeah. Now, some people will take and lengthen out the cord, maybe about that long, and wrap a couple of times. If you don't do it tight, that's what I said, make it nice and long, about this much. I do not advocate that, because you never know where that's been. You can get the cable, and if you go to these conferences, sometimes they'll have those for free laying out, but you can buy them. It's, something that you could do like a, well, you could make one really, really easy. You could do a,
When I got there, they was in the meeting.
What do you call those
And I got
sports?
there
Wristband? Get a nice one, one that's not, you don't want it to be tight. Get a nice cheap one.
And I told her,
And they'll be
that
listed.
you guys,
Like
this was
Nike,
just a baby.
tight.
She was like, oh,
We get like a little
What did I do
Walmart
after that?
cheapo brand. And you could sew some Velcro on it.
yeah, I didn't.
Just sew a strip of Velcro and, put the male and female Velcros together. After you sew the
I would sew the,
Yeah,
female
this is
side
cool.
down.
Yeah.
Her thing
And
is,
then, so the female side down just
so
on
she's
the
not gonna
end.
do it, 'cause she got something.
You put it on,
So she
unzip
said she's
it,
gonna
put it
do
in,
Wednesday.
and pop it out.
Tutor.
I mean, you can make it easy one. I wouldn't spend a lot of money on it. And then you can throw it in the washing machine.
I just took my own machine. You have one?
No,
No.
she just hangs the
I
cord
just
on the
took the
machine.
cord on
That's
the
what I've,
machine.
that's what I've
Get
done.
plenty of slack in
before.
it and just hook it on the machine.
But I know what you're talking about. It depends on how heavy the cord is. And sometimes hanging it up there, they'll still try to fall out because they're so heavy.
But it's not even, I don't even think that it's the heaviness so much anymore. I guess it's there.
Oh,
And it just kind of buttons.
I can feel it
I can see the
pulling.
heaviness too, where it's kind of pulling and then.
So you're having to
It's just
support the
having
cord.
pulling the cord with you.
Yeah.
But I saw that on that lady's picture.
Yeah, I would not put it behind your neck.
No, I wouldn't, but I saw this lady doing it.
Yeah.
She looked popular.
Well, the reason I don't, I've come in,
No, on your question. And so the homework's gonna be due.
she's been tilted like a. Yes, she does.
I know.
Yeah, I did it last night too anyway.
Which homework?
That,
But,
The
the
midterm.
thing about
Thank
the
you.
rest
That thing
It's
she-
not
you're
due
cleaning your
today?
cord all day long.
Apparently.
Because we're switching, we're gonna have lab today and class.
You gotta take your son it off.
In the dark.
But I did it anyway last night after.
So we have lab day.
Lab today, and she said that scan won't be due until the next Wednesday, so we'll have like 2 extra days for the lab.
See, this is.
I know.
But when is the homework?
Wednesday, we're on class.
We had a lab?
No, the one we're getting today will be due next Friday.
So really, this lab kind of makes up for next week when we're out.
I guess.
Was
Well,
that?
it makes up for Wednesday, because we're gonna have class Wednesday instead. We're just switching Wednesday and today. You know how we usually have class today?
Man, I'm ready for the quiz.
Oh, I'm not, bless your heart. Lab today.
Hey, that's
how
Our
it
written
is.
homework's gonna
I
be
was
due
ready for
Wednesday
everything, you
when
know,
we have.
wait, hold on. We're the last, so the homework that we
The
get
1 week of ready.
Monday, then Monday.
No, she said the lab homework, they will have an extra 2 days and they'll be ready for the lab day next week. But we won't be here, so.
Next week, Thanksgiving.
Yes, so we won't be here
That's
next
what
week.
I'm saying. When are we gonna get to do routine? If we're out Wednesday, Thursday, Friday.
No, we're out next Wednesday.
I need to ask her about that though then,
So
because
this Wednesday she'll adjust that, whatever y'all get.
I'm going to tell y'all there's gonna be a quiz.
if we get a lab today that's not due till next Wednesday, we won't even be here, so that's not gonna be right.
Monday.
Yeah, it's gonna have to be Monday. That's what it's gonna have to be.
I mean, it can still be you go today. We can
Right,
do
right.
it, but she doesn't do it.
Because we could do it that
Yeah.
Tuesday, or even
We just won't be
Tuesday,
there Wednesday.
because I'm sure the school,
Yeah.
because the school will be over Tuesday.
She can grab you any computer.
And I know other people will be here Tuesday just because of the,
Yeah.
or, you know.
As from now on, you'll sit on your chest like constantly. And he knows the legs.
Legs.
All the names. Frontwards and backwards. What joins form this? See, that's what I gotta, I remember that.
Ooh, that was.
So we got lab.
And that's what I was coming to the thing for. And I was
There you
mad.
go.
I was like,
Top down.
So we got lab today, so we ain't gonna advertise that.
I'm sorry. Did you end up putting that on?
The
Facebook?
10.
Video?
That was.
She said the next, you talking about April 6th? The next test we have, she said the next test we have the
No.
final, so we have on the.
We'll have a quiz.
Oh, a quiz.
Wednesday, yeah.
Wednesday, yeah.
Yeah, it's up, it's up. In fact, I put the link up on Facebook. Just,
I hadn't looked yet.
yeah,
I really didn't hear you.
That's awfully nice, Larry.
it's for everybody, man. That's for me.
Well, it's nice of you to do that.
I woke up early to do what Rita had.
They need to get that shot of heat in here again.
I mean, it's a short chapter. I did mine yesterday. I didn't even take too long. Everything kind of repeated on this.
Yeah, here, energy, shining.
Oh, I just wrote it into a little definition.
Oh, I wrote one sentence for each one. Don't worry. I did not go into that.
Then when you say Florence, sick, throwing up and stuff?
Well, she said she woke up this morning at 3, and she texted me at 3 o'clock. She always texts me
Girl.
all night. I'm like,
Just because you're awake, my ex-husband does that. It's like,
Yeah, 3:05 texted me and it wakes me up because she's phone's really loud for some reason. The vibrate feels like it's gonna shake me. And
well,
not
you're,
now.
you know.
And I'm like, oh, I've got to be born. So I look at it. She says, I just emailed Miss McCullar my homework. I'm like, what? She's like, I just emailed her my homework because I have the worst headache and it's making me really sick. And I was like,
Bless your heart.
okay, I'm going back to bed.
Still the wake up.
So not only is she texting me, she's on the computer emailing at 3:05.
My ex-husband does that. I said, if it's not an emergency,
Three
can
of
you
sleep
please wait?
all during the day.
I text her, call it 3, you're like, yes. He did it at 4, and it was like Saturday morning. I'm like, what happened? Nothing, you know. It's like, hey, how's Joe? I'm like,
I was up watching TV. Thinking about Joe.
I'm like, oh, well, dude.
Is he in?
He's in Texas.
Oh, okay.
And he's a CPA, and his dad, they all get up early, and they go to bed, I mean, like, you know, that's normal for him. But I'm like, and then he's well, you know, he's trying to be funny, he's like, what, I gave you till 4, and I'm like,
Party hard.
yeah, and then Sunday, and I'm not kidding, did it was 6:05, and I'm like, because I said, can you at least wait till after 6:05? It is really not an emergency, I swear. You know, because I was telling you about Joe. So he's like, well, how's Joe? You know, we can talk about this at a decent
Well, in your conscience.
Yeah. So I don't answer until like, when I, you know, and that makes me mad. You know,
Did he get remarried?
He is not. He is not. I was his second wife. He was my first
Okay.
husband. But they didn't have kids before. But it's weird, I've known him since 8th grade. I knew his first wife.
He needs to get remarried.
He was.
He needs to get
Oh,
remarried.
God, he lives with the lady.
Oh, he lives with her. Okay.
Yeah, they bought a house. I guess, I don't know who he actually bought it or what he did, I don't know. But she's not, I don't, she doesn't like me. But I guess they came down, they were gonna meet us. We met in Memphis one time to drop off the kids, and they were gonna go back and do, because at that time they lived in Nebraska.
Wow.
So I drove the kids to Memphis, and then she got mad at me because I didn't know the area. Wasn't she from down there? And I'm like, I've been to Memphis. I mean, it's like it's 5 hours away. No, I don't know Memphis. I mean,
like, you know, all the southeast.
yeah, it's like, well, what do you know Chicago? You know, or I mean, because you're from Nebraska. You know, it's just she didn't like me because I didn't know where to tell him to go to meet. I don't care where I go, I can find it,
Yeah, there's no one.
Silly stuff, you know how it goes. And her kids, she had a lot of trouble with her son, the way we are with Joe. So and he was an alcoholic, I mean, real bad, that's why we were together. And he did through, I bet, 10 rehabs when we were married. And 5 or 6, I am not, I swear. And, I mean, not like leases, they were like, not even 28-day ones, like 2-week, you know.
Just to try to, you know, knock it off
But anyway, I mean, so I think they get along that way because, I don't know if that's how they met or whatever, but.
I mean, was he in the AA program?
He was.
He's consistently going where he's
He
consistently
was.
going to meetings.
He is now. I think it's been over. He used to tell me every anniversary. Now, I don't, sometime in June, and I don't remember how many, I think 7 years.
That's good.
Or something. Yeah. So it's good.
I grew up with a guy who actually ended up on crack cocaine. And I ended up renting out a hotel because it stays in your system for 24 hours. Renting out a hotel, and then I took him to a rehab place. He's been clean 4 years, 5 years.
That's great. I bet that was hard, that 24 hours.
Because one day, I saw him one time, he looked at me and said, I've done things that I can't even, I'm ashamed to tell you.
Oh.
I was like, wow.
And y'all were so close.
Yeah, we grew up together, man. I mean, like I said, at 8th grade. I didn't know
Yeah. Well, and doesn't remember some of the things he
Really?
did, you know, and so he'll, still, you know, I just irritate him so much, and I'm like, you need to hush. The kid's dad.
Oh, I thought you were talking about your son.
No, my son's a lot like him.
I know him, so I
Y'all good with
can
the
vouch
children?
for him. Be like, he's young enough,
Yeah.
but I can vouch for him.
And I
Get it
love,
out, bro.
I love him. I know.
No, Kim knows. I mean, I would, she knows I'm not being, but if you ever met him and his personality, like,
He can be so sweet.
yeah, but I'm talking about like how the people he hangs out with, stuff like that, you would never think she was his mom.
Oh my gosh.
No.
And I am apparently, you know, blinders on with him, apparently, until the last couple of years. Now I'm like,
But it, you know,
he was so sweet and but he.
well, he is, and he is when he's away from the people that,
The influence.
yeah.
He's not anymore. I think his brain has seriously changed. I'm
Oh,
worried
I
about
found out. I know you probably don't know, but when I used to, like when we would bowl all the time at Lightning Place, the people that Mason and him used to bowl with all the time, his name was Josh Washington. I found out the other day. Anyway, they would hang with him all the time. He just got arrested for rap.
See, Joe, now he'll.
He is 25.
Oh, see, and I didn't even know him. But Joe, you know, I really think things have changed.
Mason is the worst.
Yeah.
Chapter 5.
I mean, he lived with us for about a month, and I was like, dude, you've got to.
Go through chapter 5 just a little bit. Okay.
He doesn't.
Should bother you if I didn't pull it.
It's trying, not that we're super rich or anything, but I mean, he's trying to almost be like God. I'm like, Joe, look at how you're doing.
Yeah, you don't have to be, I mean, I'm not either, but everybody thinks I am.
Well, I
But
mean,
it's
I say, baby, let me take you.
Okay.
Nothing to
As
do
far as other imaging modalities goes,
you know.
the biggest reason why you want to understand some of these other modalities is because you'll probably have to correlate your studies. What I mean by that is, say the patient has had a CAT scan, okay? They might have seen something in their kidney, and they'll send them to ultrasound so that we can tell them solid versus cystic. How do we do that? You may remember how we can tell for sure something's solid versus cystic?
Anechoic.
Okay. Bigger than that, what's the biggest telltale sign? That is, that cysts are usually anechoic.
Shadowing.
Opposite of shadowing, the enhancement, whoever's that, yes. So with ultrasound, we can, for sure, if we see enhancement, the only way something's gonna enhance is if it's liquid. Okay, so we can tell them, yes, that is cystic. It might even look solid with ultrasound. In other words, it has debris all in it, it's filled with echoes. But if it enhances, it is liquid. For instance, why would it be filled with echoes? Blood can coagulate, and you'll see debris and echogenicity within the cyst. But the enhancement tells us that that's still blood. It'll still enhance, even when it's clotted. Okay? So, well, a lot of times we'll have to look and see. It could be a mammogram. Okay, that's one of the more often reasons you'll be scanning and looking at prior studies. So you need to learn how to, say, okay, well, that's what it looks like on mammogram. This is kind of where it's at. So you'll find the same spot with ultrasound. We do have to correlate. All right. So radiography. Kim can tell us a whole lot about that, a lot more than I could, because I've never done x-rays.
I don't know a whole lot more, but.
Okay, so with x-rays, they use radiation.
We just had our week class. It was radiology.
Oh, really? It was, x-rays, anything that uses radiation falls under that radiography heading. Computed tomography, that's a CT, and it also uses radiation, I'm pretty sure. MRIs do not though. Magnetic resonance imaging, the big magnet that you're in kind of scrambles up your ions, and as they relax and go back into place, that's when they get the image. So you're not using radiation, it's just MRIs are very, very expensive. Super duper expensive. Okay? Nuclear medicine, they use radiation to tag certain structures. So they have either, I think they can inject it, but a lot of times people, like, say you're having a HIDA scan done to see how well your liver ejects the bile. The patient will actually eat an egg sandwich. It's not too bad, but it's laced with radioactive material. Okay? So with a nuclear medicine study, they have isotopes that go to specific areas, say for the thyroid, for instance. Their isotope will fill in the whole thyroid. So when they take a nuclear medicine picture, they're not seeing the anatomy, they're seeing that isotope as it fills the anatomy. So it's a little different. So for instance, like and there might be there's probably a picture in there. It'll start out with like little dots, little bright white dots, and then it'll eventually fill in the whole thyroid. So you'll have, a thyroid shape of all those little radioactive isotopes that are in there. If you have a whole thyroid over here, and say the isthmus, but maybe this thyroid is only that big, this part doesn't fill in, that would show where the mass might be. Okay? So nuclear medicine, you might have to look at that to see where the nodule is. And then the last one, PET scans. PET scans are looking for glucose uptake. Cancers love sugar. Okay, they want lots and lots of sugar, glucose. And they demand, that's why they're low resistance vascular beds. Okay? Well, and that's why people lose weight when they have cancer, because the cancer's sucking in all the sugar. That's where our bodies like to run on. The brain's fuel of choice is sugar. So when the body doesn't have sugar to use as fuel, it starts burning fat. That's why they, suddenly lose weight. It's kind of like somebody that gets diabetes. If their cells can't use the sugar, so they'll burn fat. But these PET scans, that's what they're looking for, is areas of extreme sugar consumption. So people that have had cancer in the past, sometimes they'll have these PET scans just to see if it's gone somewhere else. Find it that way. So that would help us. We'll look at the PET scan and say, well, that's kind of in an area of the kidney. Maybe that's where this is at. It's not super pinpointed, though. That's the problem with PET scans. You don't really know, for the ones I've seen, exactly where things are. But you have all these other imaging modalities that we might have to look at. I'm not worried about, knowing the history of all of them. Okay? But it is radiation. So if a patient's scared about ultrasound, we can, they're like, I don't want to get radiation. Do ultrasounds give them any radiation? Okay. So you can reassure them it's not like an x-ray. There's no ionizing radiation that you're going to be exposed to. All right? Get out of history. Okay. High or low density refers to how much energy that reaches the film. Okay, so the x-ray's energy is going through the patient. Things that don't absorb a lot of that energy will allow more energy to get to the radiographic film, that x-ray film. Things that absorb a lot of the energy stop it from going through. So it's kind of how you get that contrast, okay? Tissues that absorb a greater number of x-rays are whiter on the image. So that's why the bones show up white. That's why the contrast that they put in the patient, sometimes they'll do barium, either barium enemas, or they have to swallow barium to get into their bowel. Because bowel doesn't stop a lot of the x-ray, so it doesn't show up right away. The barium does. That's what the barium's supposed to do. So maybe they think there's some kind of a blockage in their bowel. The barium would go to a certain point and then it would stop, I guess. You could probably explain that, like I said, a little bit better, Kim, but they're looking to see if it, you know, if it's going through. I know my oldest son was having a lot of GI problems. He was throwing up a lot and, you know, sick to his tummy all the time. So they did a barium swallow, but he had to drink chocolate milk with barium in it, okay? And they watched it and timed it to see how long it took to get out of his stomach. And they said he had slow motility, meaning his stomach moved everything out really slowly. So you can imagine if you have stuff on your stomach and it's just kind of stagnant there, it makes you sick to your stomach. So that's why he was throwing up a lot.
So sorry for being rushing, Rebecca. How much money you got?
Yes.
You're welcome.
Sorry, it's perfect time and I was going over, so we're good. But, so that's, you kind of have to know what you're looking at a little bit. Let's real quick, mammograms, that's an x-ray, okay? So these masses that are not letting, they're very dense, they're not letting the x-ray go through, they'll show up white sometimes. Now, there's sometimes when there's dense breast tissue though, I have a really hard time because the dense breast tissue shows up white on the x-ray too. So that's really hard for me to see those masses sometimes. You might have to get the x-ray tech, the mammo tech, or the radiologist to pinpoint where you're looking. But we'll have to correlate sometimes to see, you know, like if you're doing a follow-up ultrasound after a mammogram, they don't want you to scan the whole breast. They want you to look for that one spot or two, whatever it is they're looking they found. That's all they want you to take a picture of. So you gotta make sure you're looking in that spot. We'll continue on to chapter 5.
Ms. McCullar, is the CPR today or for the week?
I was gonna do it during lab today.
Okay.
Yeah. Because aorta and obviously won't be your phone to show.
I think somebody might say that even.
Yeah, because y'all really are listening to us.
Sorry, Enrique. But I've heard that before.
And you can see the branches coming off of it.